assemble.
Some people move on, but not us. What's up guys, my name is RBG and I'm bringing you another Avengers Project video, or should I say Marvel's Avengers video. That's right guys, for months we've been covering this very obscure project, questioning if it would ever come to fruition or if it was an actual thing anymore, and some gave up hope, but not us. We kept up the good fight and now we're the ones reaping the benefits. Because less than 48 hours ago, Marvel Entertainment and Square Enix confirmed that we'll be getting a worldwide reveal of Marvel's Avengers at E3. And surprisingly enough, this news shook the internet to its core. Like, the reactions to this announcement were overwhelming. I got so many personal messages asking me if I heard about this and when I was going to talk about it, so we're going to do that today. And there's more info on what we'll be seeing at Square's live E3 conference. But before we dive into these topics, I want to remind you for their upcoming Marvel game while announcing that the video game will make its worldwide reveal during E3 2019. The news came from a new Twitter account for the game and was confirmed by E3 Coliseum's Jeff Keighley. And before all this news broke, fans were speculating this because a few days ago, Square tweeted out a very cryptic looking post showing some rather peculiar colors. If you notice, the colors in this picture frames on the left and right bear a strong resemblance to the colors used for the Infinity Stones. This picture was also featured as their header photo, so fans were in full-on speculation mode. Not to mention that Square was planning something big for this year's E3. FF7 Remake had already released a slew of trailers, so the only thing that could potentially top that property in hype would be Marvel's Avengers. We only got one teaser trailer for the Avengers project a couple years ago, and I think this new reveal at E3 is going to remind those who've forgotten about it, totally blowing them out of the water. And based on this new information I'm going to be talking about today, I think this game will generate even more buzz once it's revealed. Now, I just want to say that this info is official, but I don't think Square ever intended for it to be made public until E3. Apparently, this is a leak that someone got from a listing for an open panel for Marvel's Avengers. The game is supposed to be showcased during Jeff Keighley's E3 Coliseum show on Tuesday, June the 11th, but somehow, in some way, somebody was able to see what we'd be getting before that event. So if any of you guys want to avoid getting spoiled on this info before Square's conference, I suggest clicking to this segment of the video. But anyways, the panel leak says this: embrace your powers and join key members of the development team at Crystal Dynamics and the creative team at Marvel Games as they talk exclusively about the upcoming Marvel's Avengers. This is the defining Avengers gaming experience, an epic action adventure that combines cinematic storytelling with continuous single player and cooperative gameplay. Moderated by Andrea Renee, assemble and team ups to 4 players, master extraordinary abilities, customize your heroes to fit your playstyle, and combine powers to defend an ever-expanding world under constant threat. Now, I'm not sure about you guys, but I think these details pretty much confirm the leaks we got from a throwaway Reddit account a week ago, particularly the gameplay, because we had gotten word that Marvel's Avengers would have some type of co-op, and the throwaway Reddit account talked about how there was a skill tree that showed different abilities for each Avenger and team-up abilities. So I think the biggest thing to take away from this is that we won't be getting another vague CG trailer at E3. We're actually getting a trailer that features some gameplay, which I gotta say thank God, because I couldn't bear to wait another year for something that barely gives an idea of what it's about. We've already been left in the dark for 2.5 years, but it looks like things are finally picking up. I think the thing that we knew but weren't too sure about was how the campaign would play out. I know there were a lot of fans who wanted something in the same vein as DC Online and Marvel Heroes, specifically because Square said that this would be an experience that Marvel fans will enjoy for years to come, but it looks like it'll be more of a third-person action game than an MMORPG game, which I'm totally okay with. Like, I love playing third-person games that are AAA, and while MMOs are fun, the gameplay can get pretty repetitive, especially with large numbers of characters you have access to with their limited movesets. So I feel like this title is going to be a more ambitious version of Ultimate Alliance, since there's going to be more customizations. One thing that I'm wondering about is how the co-op will be utilized, because they don't really go into the specifics of if it'll feature local or online co-op or both. I feel like if we want to play through the single player campaign, certain characters will still team up with you, they'll just be controlled by AI. But if I want someone else to join in on the fun, we can play locally with a friend or go online with another player. If that turns out to be the case, then it's going to be awesome, because I can only imagine teaming up with players who have some cool customizations that I haven't seen before. Like, someone could have a Hawkeye whose abilities are more tailored towards close quarters combat, and he looks more like Ronin. If I remember correctly, the throwaway Reddit leak mentioned that upgrades would affect each characters look, so we could essentially be getting different variations of all the Avengers members. Crystal Dynamics could dig into Marvel's toy chest of lore and add things like weapons, armor, and costumes from the comics and movies. I would absolutely love to mix and match the different variations of Iron Man's armor. And this is something that I wanted in Marvel Spider-Man, literal suit crafting where I could mix different pieces of iconic Spidey costumes as opposed to just picking one costume and switching its abilities out with another costume's abilities. Speaking of Marvel Spider-Man, I wanted to segue into another topic that's been discussed for quite a while. Shortly after the Avengers project was announced and Marvel Spider-Man was garnering a lot of praise, fans began wondering if we could get the gaming equivalent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because Marvel Spider-Man seems to exist in a universe that's already fleshed out. For example, you see different landmarks like the Avengers Tower, and there's even references to Tony Stark and other heroes. Little things like that implied that the Avengers have been around for quite some time, but since it was a standalone title strictly revolving around Spider-Man, none of the other Marvel heroes were invited to the party. So that was a bit of a bummer. But we still had hope that the Avengers project would give us an expanded Marvel gaming universe and potentially tie into Marvel Spider-Man. Back in September, Marvel Spider-Man's creative director Brian Intihar uttered some pretty interesting words during an interview by Kinda Funny Games. And I talked about this last year, but I want you guys to hear this for yourself.
Or Marvel's just got to do this.
Yeah.
And then like a couple years later, they're calling us to do it, and I'm just like, oh my god, like, so yeah, it's been awesome. Yeah, it's like, and we knew like some funny thing that like Marvel and I talked a lot about is this is the Iron Man. This is the one that's going to start it off.
Yep.
Like this is the one that's going to.
I just got chills.
Yeah, we literally talked about it from day one as like this is the Iron Man. We can't F this thing up because it's a big thing for us. It's a big thing for them. It's a big thing for Sony.
The
Sony
future, yeah.
For PlayStation took a big risk. Everybody. So we like every single day we would think, got to be like Iron Man. It's got to be the Iron Man.
So as you can see, Brian says that he wanted Marvel Spider-Man to be the Iron Man, or the quote-unquote one that's going to start it off. What he essentially means is that Marvel Spider-Man is going to be to gaming what Iron Man was to the MCU. For those who are big into Marvel films, you'd know that Iron Man was the first movie to kick off the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and at the time the company was depending on that particular picture to do crazy numbers at the box office. It sounds like Brian Intihar and Marvel Entertainment wanted Spider-Man PS4 to be like that for their games going forward. The start of a Marvel gaming universe that'll connect to other ambitious titles. If you think about it, Marvel has pretty much conquered every other medium of entertainment, but when it comes to video games, they barely even scratch the surface. While their box office numbers are good, they're not necessarily pulling in big money like games such as Fortnite. Not even one of their flagship MCU films, Spider-Man Homecoming, could compete with a Game of the Year candidate. Last year, Marvel Spider-Man for the PS4 made over $190 million in its first 3 days, surpassing the $117 million Spider-Man Homecoming made in its North American opening weekend box office. So that goes to show how lucrative the gaming market is, especially if passion is put into a Marvel-related property. This is why me and a lot of others are assuming that Marvel's Avengers and Marvel Spider-Man may be the start of the gaming industry's MGU. Because for one, the names of these titles are so simplistic yet similar. Before both of these games revealed their official names, we thought they'd have some kind of cool name describing the events that would take place within the story. But we didn't get a Spider-Man Wrath of the Sinister Six or Avengers Reassemble. They just gave us basic names with Marvel slapped on the top of them. And that only adds to our speculations. Marvel has already announced that they're going to be doing business differently with their IPs. For the longest time, they've only released games based on or tied to the release of films based on their properties, but they've always had issues since those games have had small development windows resulting in unfinished products. But now the head of Marvel Games, Jay Ong, seems to be following a similar business model to Kevin Feige, licensing their properties out to top-tier developers to create original stories instead of something that's based on existing movies. These are the things we're ready for, and if Square brings home another Game of the Year contender like Spider-Man, it'll be another win under Marvel's belt. I can only imagine how skilled the Avengers would be if these games took place in the same universe. Spider-Man has been a hero for almost a decade in his latest solo outing, so the Avengers will be more seasoned than they've ever been before. But with that, I'd like to bring this video to a close. I'm just overwhelmed with all the info we've been receiving for this game. Like, I'm pretty sure that its marketing campaign is going to be insane, just like Marvel Spider-Man was last year. And even though I've pretty much been spoiled on hearing how the presentation will be at E3, my excitement is still through the roof. I'm pretty sure the presentation is still going to woo me even if I know it's coming. But anyways, I want to know what you think. Are you happy about the customization and co-op features? And do you think this game's story will expand on what Marvel Spider-Man started? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on my channel. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on social media outlets with all your friends and followers. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.
A new Avengers game? Hey, get ready to assemble for this one, true believers.